Hi again folks, how's all doing? This is a Bachmann Class 25 that was sent to me by Tony. He says that this is a damaged chassis and he's got a replacement chassis from Bachmann and has asked me to fit it for him. Looks okay to me externally at the moment, but let's try this under power. Yeah, this runs really nicely, but there appears to be an issue with the lighting going forwards. Anyway, we'll get this to the bench and we'll have a look. Alright, okay, replacing a chassis on a Bachmann 25. Tony said this is probably going to be quite straightforward. Yeah. Somehow, I don't think so. However, we'll see what's up. To be honest, I don't see much wrong with the chassis, not from the outside anyway. Getting the endoscope in. So this buffer's been broken off, a little bit of the chassis come away, it's not spring loaded anymore. So it's maybe worth replacing the chassis just for that alone, I suppose, but there's a slight bend in the chassis there. But other than that, I don't see any damage to the chassis. But Tony's asked for me to replace it with this shiny new replacement. So that's what we'll do, or at least we'll try to. Right. Yeah, it's all 4 screws. This will probably be clipped at the front as well. Doesn't appear to have any extra little screws at the front, which sometimes is the case. Right, okay. Right, I think I can see why one of these wasn't lighting up. I think it's probably this one. I think the contacts there are bent up too much. Pretty sure if we just bend them down a bit or up a bit, depends on your point of view, I think that'll make that work. Okay, so there's only one set of wires to the headlights at each end, so for them to work in both directions, that'll almost be handled by the PCB. So I don't think we're going to mess around with that. But how on earth do we remove everything from the chassis? That can come off. So the lighting boards are held on with little screws. So I'll have to undo those. I think this cab interior is possibly glued on. Tiny wee screw there. This might be the kind of job that I might only ever agree to do once. There we go. Someone else asked me to do this to a Bachmann 25. I may say no. So I'm not seeing any way of how this comes away from the plastic chassis. Just looking at the replacement, we've got holes there, and there, which I get a funny feeling are going to be the way to get this off. There'll be screws through those holes, which are only going to be accessible by removing the bogies. Wiring here to take into consideration. This is a terrible design. It really, really is. Why have the screws holding this on coming up from there? If this screwed on from above and you undid the screws, you could lift this off. It would be easy to get the drive shaft connected up, and it would be easy to to do anything on it. But no, Bachmann decided to make it incredibly difficult. Right, okay, we'll undo this one. Yeah, there's one of the screws. Right, there's not enough slack in the wires for me to get this out. Now they're all coiled up, soldered into there. Right, need to desolder these wires. That one. That one. Need to untangle these wires. Now is this going to come out? There we go. And there are the two screws. So there'll be another two here as well. There we go. Right, so the wires on this one are shorter, so they go at that end. And the wires on this one are longer, they go at this end. So that's disconnected, that's all disconnected. Now we can undo these four screws and see what happens. So hopefully it'll be a case of just taking this off, putting the new one on, and then putting this back together. But my experience of these Bachmann diesels tells me that it's putting back together that can be the problem. Right, so that comes off easy enough. So I can get some oil into the bearings at either end of the motor, because there is a tendency for a little bit of squeaky nonsense with these. Maybe get a little bit of silicone grease into the sockets, and the replacement will just go on like that. Okay, right. So we've got to get this cab interior with these crew off of here. Sometimes just getting a blade underneath it if I can. Like that. There we go. Get that out the road. So that was the plug in now. Yeah, it's going to need a bit of glue to keep it in place. Right, I'm going to get this screwed back in place before I do anything else, I think. It's one of these tiny wee screws. Some glue on there, and we'll put this on. And we'll do the same at this end, get that screwed back in. Now, the fun bit, getting these bogies back in. I'll tell you what we'll do though, we'll get a look at them first. So these bogies aren't too bad, but you can see the grease in there has gone a bit waxy, and you can maybe just see there that that pickup is not touching the wheel. So I think we'll service these bogies. Yeah, that's the same. You can see they're a bit greasy, and this is going to have pickup problems. That one, it comes. Actually, the grease is okay. It's a funny colour, but it's not waxy. It's still going to do its job. We'll clean the axles up and the pickups and bring the pickups out a bit. Give the pickups a clean, and then we want them to come out a bit. Where's my tweezers? Right. They're now touching the wheels all the time. And so are these ones. Bit of fresh oil in the axles. It's fine. We'll get a little bit of oil there. There. And we'll put a little bit of grease on the worm gear. I need to get a new brush for this. I bought a stack of these empty nail varnish bottles, but I don't know what I've done with them. Alright, okay, that's ready to be fitted back in. And that's the one that goes at that end. So we shall do the same with this one. Right, okay, so that done. Oh, looks tickety-boo. I now have to refit the bogies into here, which is the fiddly bit. I've got to get the wires back up through, I've got to get the drive shaft to re-engage with the sockets on the flywheels. Then we'll have to resolder the wires, get the body back on, and that should be that. What we will do right now is just sort these lighting wires out a bit. They should be tucked in neatly. Right, okay. What time is it? Do you know what? I think I'm going to call it a day. It's getting near beer o'clock. I think we'll tackle the reinstallation of the bogies tomorrow. Okay. Right, next day, let's get these bogies fitted. I think this one with the shorter wires is going to be the trickiest of the two. Goes in this end. I've got to feed these wires through two little holes there and there. I've got to engage the drive shaft into the socket on the flywheel there and get that poking through the hole to accept the screw and stay in place while I get it screwed in, and then I've got to get the wires from underneath the PCB and solder them to there and there. So I think this may be a bit of a fiddle. I'm going to have to get these wires through the little hole. It's that wire through there. Let's just keep springing back out. I think this might be an easier job if I was to remove the PCB, to be honest. There we go. Gee whiz. Right. As my wires fed through, now can I get the drive shaft engaged? Yes, I can. That wasn't too bad. It was just feeding those wires that was tricky. Right, we'll get that screwed in place. It's that in. Do the other one, same process, but I think this one will be easier because I've got easier access to this side and the wires are longer. So I don't think this one will be quite as tricky. That's that. That one was certainly a fiddle, but this one was okay. Yeah, I think I am going to remove this circuit board because the wires feed through from underneath. Right, so that will now lift off like so. So I want to feed the wires through these little holes, and then we'll solder on this side. So the red wire wants to feed through like that, and that black wire like that. So get that soldered. like so. And the same at this end. There's the black wire through there. And the red wire through there. Okay. Let's see what happens on the test track. That seems to be fine. I've been in touch with Tony and he said he's not fussed about the lights. He's quite happy with it as it is. Right, let's put this on. Sometimes fitting the bodies on these things is a real fiddle. That's it. Let's see if the head codes are working. I can't remember which one was working, which one wasn't, but hopefully they'll both be working now. That one is. And that one isn't. So this one isn't. Let's try it this way around. That one works. And that one doesn't. No. Right, so it's not the LED units themselves, it's something to do with something on here. Because if I turn the body around, it works at this end, but not at that end, and vice versa. I suspect the PCB is faulty, so we shall just leave it. Tony did say he's not worried, so I shouldn't be either. There we go. Nice model. Right, let's go and pull out the shed. Okay then, let's bring out the 25. So there we are, that's Tony's Bachmann 25 fitted with a new chassis, so it now has 4 fully working sprung buffers. As usual with these Bachmann diesels, it's fitting the bogies back in that's the real fiddle, but it was worth doing in this case because the pickups needed cleaning and adjusting. But actually swapping the chassis once the bogies were removed was quite easy. It's a pity the lighting isn't working as it should. I think this needs a new PCB, but it's a really, really nice model. I've worked on 2 of these Bachmann 25s now, and I think I'll definitely be looking out for one in the future. They seem pretty solid, smooth runners, and I don't have a 25. Right, I shall get this packed up and sent back to Tony. Catch you later, folks.